Good morning, good evening, and depending on where you're watching or listening to me. This is Pastor Ben coming to you today with a special program that we are having a podcast. And I want to ask you kindly, wherever you are watching or listening to us tonight, may you be kind enough to be social with us and share this broadcast with your friends wherever you are. Because tonight we have a very important discussion, and that is going to be an eye opener because we are privileged to have a mental health expert, Ken Gakuru, who is going to help us to navigate on some of these things that we want to talk about today. I understand that this month is a month where we are dealing with the issue of suicidal, which has been a menace actually to so many nations, to so many people. So, as we come about on this program podcast tonight, if you have somebody you know that they are struggling with mental illness, mental issues, actually it may not be so severe, but whatever capacity that they are in, it is still an issue that needs to be dealt with. So we are here tonight to have a discussion that is going to be healthy and eye opener. And I want to invite my guest tonight that is going to join together with me so that we can have an healthy discussion together, even as we navigate on this topic. My guest tonight on this podcast is Ken Gakuru. And I want to ask you, Ken, if you can hear me. This is Mana Online TV. We are streaming live on Facebook and on YouTube. And you could introduce yourself to our viewers, and then from there we pick it up from there. Ken, it's your time.
Yes, I can hear you clearly, and thank you for this opportunity. I hope you can hear me as well. Gakuru Gedenji, and I am passionate about mental wellness and mental health and the awareness about it because we know very little about the brain and how it works and how it should be. We know a lot about working out other parts of our body, but for the brain, we do not know. And that's why we are here to understand more about ourselves and our brains and how they work in goodness and in badness, and to know how to cope with it.
Absolutely beautiful. Ken, first, you are most welcome on this program. Thank you so much for finding time to be together with us. We are so honored to host
Yeah.
you. So, Ken, perhaps you could give us a bit of statistics about mental health illness and specifically the issue we probably will be delving so much into, which is suicidal, which is apparently on the rise in the life systems that we are living in. Maybe you could give us some statistics on this, even as we delve into this topic.
Okay. Well, I am a statistic on my own self, and that's why I am
Mhm.
so passionate about it because I would have been a statistic in suicide because I was on that road. I was depressed, and that's let me give you a background of it is 10 years ago I had two brain surgeries. And when I woke up from that surgery, I didn't know who I was. I didn't know why I was alive. And that created a depression for me. And in that process, I was suicidal because I did not see my value on this earth. And me writing a book about it is why I'm here in the first place 10 years later, because I know how that journey looks like. And that's why, even when you said I'm an expert, I am still on that road of learning about my own self and this thing we call mental awareness and mental health, because it is a daily muscle. Like I said, it is a muscle like any other that requires you to work it out. We normally go to the gym for the physical body, but which gym does the brain aspect? And that's what I have found out in my work through depression and through suicidal tendencies, through joblessness, because those are triggers which bring about this topic we are talking about today. And on that point of statistics, men are more affected. And we had a conversation with my friend today, and I was like, we don't hear of women committing suicide as much as we hear men. And it's because men don't talk. That's why my hashtag is let's talk. Because as men, we have been raised not to be open about our emotions. We are used to being hard, and that hardness is not natural because the body acts on whatever it is feeling at any particular stage of one's life or one's processes. We are taught not to cry, but the body requires you to cry to get rid of that emotional thing that may be affecting you. We don't talk about our own selves. If I ask you how you are, you will tell me, I'm okay, I'm good. And you might not be good. Absolutely. But we have that mask. Awareness is more important and so crucial. That's why we have a whole month to talk about suicide, because it is the final of depression, because it is a process to get to suicide. There are symptoms, there are signs, but we hide them so well because you see, they're internal. If I'm hurt physically, I will go to the hospital. But you see, mentally, I can put a mask and it is so hard. And basically, that's why we are here, to talk more and understand more from even a biblical perspective. Because in the Bible, there are people who went through depression. Yeah, Jesus wept. Elijah ran away and he was depressed. And that's after doing something so major in his life, but his brain could not remember. He literally ran away after having done so much. And this just shows us we are human, we are men, and we are human beings, and we go through emotions, and it is natural to go through them. So let's just embrace our own selves and understand why we do what we do. Because that's
Absolutely.
what that's yes.
Yeah. Before we get into the main thing a bit deeper, perhaps you could tell a viewer who is looking at you and wondering what really causes a mental illness, and you put it very well, rightfully, that suicidal is the final stage, and perhaps somebody be in that final stage of thinking about suicide, and probably they never knew that all this time along, they were depressed, they were having a mental challenge. So what would be the triggers of mental health issues from the past, from the layman's language? What are the triggers about, what brings about mental health issues?
Okay. And all this is from my point of view. I am not an expert professionally. I have not studied psychology. I am speaking from my experiences in life, and like I've laid the foundation from what I've gone through these 10 years, and looking back at who I am and since I was born and to where I am now. And that's why I would say, even top of my point, I can see my point from my right eye: joblessness.
Okay. Ken.
Yeah, joblessness for money does to a man.
Absolutely,
Yes.
absolutely. I want us to use your case study as much as you're saying you're not an expert. They normally say that the wearer of the shoe is the one who knows where most. And I don't think that there is any expert who will surpass somebody who has gone through an issue. Maybe in this case, you could probably a little bit of an introduction of why you are where you are today. What triggered? Because I know that you were not born, raised up in going through these issues. And what could have triggered that? If it's not so personal that you can be able to share, what happened? What is your story?
My story, it's not personal. The more I tell my story, the more I understand myself. If anything, you're doing me a favor, because the more I talk, the more the memories come back. So 10 years ago, I had a blood clot on my vein, my left side of the brain. There was a blood clot. And so it led to the vein bursting. So when the vein burst, I collapsed. And I woke up in a hospital and I didn't know why I was there. I had lost all my memories. I could not talk. I could not walk. I was basically a newborn baby, the way they come out and they are new, but with experience of my life. And that is the process of me learning how to do the basics that I used to know.
Wow.
But I didn't know. And I tried, there's a new version of me that I had to deal with. And that's why I would look in a mirror and not know the person staring at me. And that's what we call depression. You cannot remember who the person who is in front of you is or what they are about. And it is the lowest part of a human being, I would think myself to a stone, because a stone just sits there. I didn't know why I was alive, why I woke up, and what I had a blank mind. Towards suicide, that's how the mind operates. It shows you that is available because it is at that stage. The mind is so, that's why it's in a skull. And when touched, it goes back to its natural settings. So that is the process.
So now,
and
yeah.
Yes.
So now, your case was out of the blood clot that happened to you, and then you find yourself in a coma. Then you rise up probably a few days later, and you realize that you are alive, but it's like you're beginning again, and everything comes into life that you are alive, but you can't remember anything, and you have to relearn everything. Would you say then, after this scenario, when you came to your senses, probably depression came in because you could not be the former Ken that you used to be?
Yes, it did. And you see, it was an internal job because people saw me as the Ken they remembered, but I the current Ken. So it was a task. Wow. Yes. And you see, that was a medical aspect of it. But then there's that of daily occurrences where somebody has gone through something and they cannot make sense of it, and they get sad. And when you get sad, they get depressed.
Yeah,
that's natural. That's chemicals which balance out, make you happy. And you see, with addiction, now we go and find those chemicals which give us temporarily happiness. And the brain has 4 chemicals. There's dopamine, there's oxytocin, there's serotonin, and there's melatonin. Yeah. For our conversation now, I would look at serotonin, which they call it the mood stabilizer. And how does it do? How do we get to that mood to be stabilized? Through prayer, through walking in nature, through running, through sun exposure, maybe cycling, maybe swimming. And these things are what I have done in these 10 years, especially praying, because I only had God with me. In that darkness, I only knew my God. And I thank my parents for taking me to church when I was young. There was a foundation. And that foundation is what kept me on my toes, because that's the only thing I knew, that I know my God. And that's the only person I know. And that's the only one who understands me, even when I don't even understand my own self. And to this day, I walk in nature, I run, I go to the sun, and it does something to me. I feel rejuvenated. You see, these are simple things. They sound simple, but when somebody is sick, they are not so simple, because that person doesn't.
On this note, my brother Ken, you say that
Yes.
probably when somebody is going through such a scenario, some of the triggers possibly would be, besides drugs and alcohol and addiction, because we are coming to that. But those are some of the things that many people think that they are the major contributors to mental health issues. But perhaps we talk about social life. Maybe somebody, when they are in such a situation and they are left alone, maybe they feel that they are not wanted by the society. Maybe friends desert them. Maybe they tend probably to get into addiction of food and addiction of just wanting to be alone and lazy. They don't want even to make a bed. They don't want even to jog around. They don't want even to go visiting. Would you say that could be some signs of depression that takes people into the extreme without realizing that actually they are drifting away?
Yes. From my experience, you need to have a circle of people who know you. That circle that I had was my wife. She kept on reminding me of who I was, because she knew me. Even if I had forgotten myself, she knew who, and she kept on telling me, I know you are a great man. Is not where you're supposed to be. And words are powerful from the Bible. And that's why it's so important to hear what you see, those circumstances, and having the right environment with you. Because at that point in time, you are in a negative energy, and all you will see is negative stuff. So you need to be gotten out of that space. And that's why just go out and look at nature. Nature shows you that there is something bigger than you. Because at that point you think the whole world is on your, it's on, and it is not. It's what your mind is telling you at that point in time. God has done for you. Because appreciation sounds so simple, but even when you appreciate one thing of being alive, that is more than enough. Because
I'm telling you,
there's a time I couldn't walk. Has become natural to us, but we didn't know when we were born. They are not. They are daily miracles we go through that we have taken them for granted.
Wow.
And that's what we should not do. And that's what we should remind ourselves, that we are here by grace. It's only grace that has kept us. Absolutely. And if there's anything somebody will remember from today, grace. For me, all I know, it's my God's grace which has kept me
Amen.
and which keeps me.
We say amen.
Because yesterday is not mine, tomorrow is not mine. Yes, we do. Because it's only Him who sustains us. So whatever we are worried about does not matter as much as we think it does.
Absolutely.
Because He knows our story.
Absolutely.
And He's told us.
Well put, Bwana Ken.
We
Now,
men.
let's into the flip side of this. On the other side, you have experienced this in a different way, that you out of a medical bring us up to speed with people who are indulging themselves with drugs and
Yes.
these things, because apparently I've realized that even in our society right now, bangi, cannabis, it has been like the talk of the day, and nobody even cares to hide themselves when they are taking bangi and these kind of hard drugs. And slowly somebody gets a bit into this, thinking that it's fun, and there is the status now, and especially young people. And we have seen the results of this, that
Yeah.
quite a lot of people are right now on the streets, collecting, dusts and papers, because their minds have been tormented by the effects of drugs. Perhaps you could
Yes.
talk to us about addiction that would probably, erode our capacities of our mental abilities, and we talk about this. Yeah, Ken. I don't think that I got you. Yeah. Let me see. All right, there you are. Yeah. So maybe you could talk to us
Okay.
about this, and what are the effects, so that people who are indulging themselves in these, that they know exactly the effects of what we are talking about today.
The thing is, I totally empathize with them because, and I know what they're looking for. So I feel sorry for them because it's a temporary high. They call it being high. It's so temporary. That's why you
Mhm.
get addicted to want more and more of it. And that's why it destroys you,
Mm.
because it is not a natural state. The body produces its own chemicals that I've said that can take you to that place that you're searching for in addictions. And that's the saddest part of it, because they end up messing your own body, because to them, to the body, that's poison. And we were created in such a way the body knows how to take care of itself. When you're sick, the body actually tells you, and you go to a doctor, and it balances itself out. For what
Mhm.
I've seen in the generation after us, Gen Z, it's a coolness kind of thing. And but that coolness is simply you're trying to make people happy. It's an external thing. What about you internally? Because in addiction, you get a high, then you get a low. And in that low, I know you feel horrible. That's what happened of it. Why not get it the natural way? Why not run? Why not just do the right things, and your body will adapt to it?
Absolutely. Beautiful and well
But when
said.
you're addicted, you see, you've gotten yourself into a different topic of addiction because it has its own.
Yes, Ken. I can hear you.
People who've gone through that
Mm.
stand where they are and how they are going about it. And that's the saddest part of addiction, because it's an external thing. And
Mm.
Yes.
So bring us up to speed to the point whereby somebody begins to think that they are worthless, they don't deserve to live again, and the only merit to their predicament is to take away their lives. What crosses the mind of such an individual to that extent? Can you hear me?
On your side, you've hung.
Oh, okay. I'm just asking, to the point whereby somebody gets to the point of worthy, they need to take away out their lives. They need to transit into a place maybe that they think it's a bit safer, when where there's no pain, where there's no rejection, and they just feel that people have rejected them. They've brought them. Actually, even some people might even get to the point of blaming maybe loved ones or situations, and even perhaps some of them, they are victims of loss of jobs and loss of relationships and stuff like that. Can you bring us up to speed to the extent that somebody would get to that level of thought? What crosses their mind and what makes them to get to that level? uh, friends, we are talking to Ken. Sorry for the disconnection, but we are connecting again to Ken. The reason why we are here and talking about mental health is because this has been a menace, in our society, not only to the older folks, but also more so to the young people. And I want to give you a bit of statistics, even as we connect with our guest. And the prevalence about mental health statistics for 2024 says that about 23% of adults, approximately, 23% of adults worldwide experience a mental illness in the past 1 year. And, that talks about, serious things of people, thinking about suicide and stuff like that. Now, youth mental health issues have been about 20% of ages between 12 to 17, what we are proudly calling the Gen Zs here in Kenya. And it's something that has to really be dealt with, because it's a menace that is really taking our young people away. And when we're talking about substance use, it's about 18% of young people, or rather adult people, who are involved in this. And then we have about 9% of young people dealing with substance abuse, which causes, of course, disorders in mental health. And let's talk about access to care. Around 10% of people who are dealing with mental illness, they are the ones that are able to get health care where that is concerned. And that's very alarming, because that's a very a small percentage of people who are dealing with this menace. And as we wait to connect with our speaker, of course, this is digital stuff, and sometimes it has issues. I want you, wherever you are, listening, as we connect with our brother. So as we connect with our brother, thanks. Sorry for that
Yes.
disconnection, I think, on your side. But we were talking about that. Maybe if I could rephrase the question again, uh, about suicide,
Yes.
the final detail where people who are depressed and going through issues are concerned, what would bring somebody to that extent of wanting to take away their lives as a merit, or rather as the final issue where mental health is concerned? And perhaps you could even talk to us about some of the ways to overcome those suicidal thoughts. Maybe as an expert through experience on this. Maybe you could talk to us about that. Ken, can you hear me? Oh, sorry. I think we're getting disconnected. Can you hear? Can you hear me now? Uh, Ken, I can't hear you. I think you've hanged. Your phone, your system is hanged.
Yes.
You can hear me now. All right. I think we are having a bit of technical issue with my guest on the other side, but we are trying to see whether it can be able to get through on the line. But in case you are there and you are a victim of um, mental health issues, sickness, as we are terming it tonight on this podcast, or maybe you know somebody who is closer to you and has been battling with this issue. Maybe you could give us a text and let us know how you've dealt with this as a person. Perhaps that would encourage somebody who is going through these. And those who are watching together with us tonight, thank you so much for joining this podcast. We are talking about mental health, and knowing that this month we are dealing with suicidal awareness. Many people are dealing with this because of course, because of the challenges that all of us are facing in life. Because as we talked about this, and Ken was emphatically bringing it out, is that mental health is brought because of circumstances, lifestyle, situations that people go through. And it is important for us to understand that every one of us is not prone to mental health issues. And we are talking about mindset. We are talking about making sure that we have our minds, filled with, of course, knowing that God is there for us, is our strength, He is everything that we need to have so that we can be able to overcome the issues of mental health. I think we having an issue with my guest on the virtue. So what we're going to do is that let me plan on how to get our guests on set so that we can have this meaningful discussion on camera, and then I think this is gonna become even a little bit better, even where this is concerned. Otherwise, I want to say thank you so much, those who are tuned into our program tonight. We are going to do this again. I'm promising you, we are going to bring this out again in a better way, in a more emphatic, more clear way, because this message needs to get into every one of us. We are dealing with statistics say that every one of us is prone to mental health issues, and we have a degree of mental health issues that we are dealing with. Every one of us, as long as you are alive, and as long as you are breathing, and as long as you are in this world, you will face with these things. And It's important to know that we are all candidates, and but it's by the grace of God, as my brother Ken has said, that we are able to overcome this. So for now, I want to leave you at this juncture and say shalom. God bless you. And in case you are out there and you want to be part of this discussion about mental health and all that it pertains to suicidal thoughts and the wellness of our minds, kindly get in touch with me. Let's plan on how we can be able to have this on set, because we need to have a meaningful discussion even as we continue with these discussions. Shalom and God bless you and thank you and bye for now, even as we say bye bye. Thank you so much.